This is Bell O'Dell's Gaming Radio Theater. And now, the Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Enter Lucet Saphna.
Dane, would you care to tell us a little bit about where you left off?
Well, what did happen? How many people did I kill last session? Ended up in the employ of, I think, some dwarf. She had told me to go out, find a wagon that had gone missing. I found it, tried to show mercy to some pathetic humans, immediately was shown why that was a bad idea, fried a dude's face off, and then went back, was forced to socialize with some dwarves for a couple of hours, and then passed out.
I most recently returned from a most successful hunt in the swamps to the north.
Excellent.
The two of you have received missives. Eleander, a fellow that neither of you has spoken with before, has a little problem that he would like some help with. The two individuals who have sent you the letter know him quite well and would be much happier if he didn't have to have this little problem on his mind. They tell you where to find him and state that it is something that should be done post haste at your earliest convenience. The two of you are sitting on a little bit of money and have the means with which to rest, eat, etc. Is there anything that you guys do in your downtime?
Lucet will go attempt to locate some form of general store. I will have him purchase just a bag of animal bait.
A bag of animal bait. I would say that that goes for about 1 gold piece.
Sounds good. I assume that that's like quite a few uses for 1 gold.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
quite a few, two even.
Two even.
Is there anything that Jokun needs to do?
Jokun.
I don't think so. He's gotten some coin from his the hides that he skinned. Uh,
Correct.
yeah, he has little interest in this settlement as it is. So the way he sees it is the more information he gets here, the sooner he will be able to return to the outside.
Gentlemen, starting in the morning, you make your way towards the tower known as Will Watch Tower, an approximately 60-foot tall tower made of sturdy stone. There's guardsmen that are milling around. Sitting on the front steps is an elderly gentleman with white hair and one peg leg. He wears chainmail armor and it fits him well. He carries a one-handed axe and a shield is attached to his back. This is the captain of the guard, Eleander.
Lumbering up to the top of the steps is a rather tall, probably about 6'7", a full orc covered in a heavy burlap cloak. He seems very stiff in the manner as he's walking up the steps. When you look to his face, it's very stoic, and the eyes in particular have a glassy quality. Very, very dark eyes.
Lucet will sort of glance around and he will clock that another person has arrived to this gentleman at the same time. And quickly give you a once over. From your 6'7" massive frame, you look down at what to you probably seems like a human child, standing at about 5'4", probably hasn't seen his 18th summer yet. Very courtly, cordial bow, short black hair streaked with navy blue. A protruding horn coming from the front of his forehead juts out about 4 inches, and it has a wide, like 4.5 inch base. It's like a very thick, nubby horn coming out of the front of his forehead. His eyes are slitted like a lizard's and are a deep azure blue. But perhaps the most striking thing about him is that about 50% of his skin is covered in what appear to be lizard scales. Out of the back of his little beige and orange travel robe, hiked up around the waist to allow his legs more freer movement. As he speaks to the gentleman in front of you, you notice that his teeth are sharp.
The older gentleman looks up at the two of you. A big, powerful, booming voice comes forth. Ah, yes, the orc and the tiefling. My good friends Manistrad and Crag have told me much about you and that you're both reliable. Thank you very much for accepting their missives and coming this way. I assume that the two of you are interested in learning more about the job.
You see his eye visibly twitch as he is called a tiefling. Of course, Sarah. I'm always interested to do a service for the great city of Saltmarsh.
He nods his head. He says, very well, gentlemen. Come inside and we'll discuss the details. On the tower is a double door. He throws open one of the doors and proceeds inside.
I will follow suit.
You are led into a large main room, of which he goes to the side and starts to climb a spiral staircase. As you guys go up further and further into the tower, you find yourself in a boardroom of sorts that exists on the very top level of the tower. The view is gorgeous. You can go ahead and see just about 360 degrees all the way from the ocean out into the forests, into the swamps and the highlands. He proceeds to sit down at like a long table and gestures to the two of you to sit down as well.
Does the chair have a back?
The chair has a back.
I will turn the chair sideways so I do not sit on my tail.
Upon seeing this most peculiar tiefling, Jokun will do the same and sit down in the chair sideways.
Lucet will clock that he is mimicking his behavior, smirk to himself in his head, but will not outwardly show any reaction to the practice at all.
The two of you sit down, and Eleander looks first from one and then to the other. Gentlemen, I'm sure that it's no surprise that we have plenty going on here in Saltmarsh. There's been a lot of change as of late, and we still have to deal with regular incursions of the sea princes. Notwithstanding, Granny Nightshade ever proves to be a thorn in our side, and the beasts that come from deep within the swamp, well, they keep my men occupied. The last thing that we need is people running around and causing further disturbances within the town. The disturbance that I speak of is named Braga. You can find him often hanging out at the empty net. He has been sowing fear and discord of the empty mansion that sits up on the hill. He claims it to be haunted. As a matter of fact, these claims are not new. It has been around for at least 20 years, empty like that. But the last thing I need is for anybody to be running around breathing new life into the fears of it. Gentlemen, can you take care of this Braga fellow, as well as put to rest anything he may have to say about the, and he uses quotation marks, haunted mansion? And will you please report to me on your findings?
The manor is of little interest to me. I am quite sure that it is not, in fact, haunted. Tell me about this beast in the swamps.
The beasts in the swamps, it takes an entire regiment of my men to take care of. And so you choose, at some point we would be willing to have you along with them. However, prove to us in a smaller job such as this that you are capable, and we can see about other lines. And you see him like pull out a pen and start writing down some notes, but he doesn't dismiss you.
If I may inquire, Sirrah, when you say take care of, and he will draw one of his, he won't point it at anyone, but he will draw one of the daggers off of his belt and begin sort of like cutting the gunk from underneath his fingernails.
Good heavens, man. You don't need to kill him. What I'm talking about is get him to shut up and figure out what it is that's gotten him all worked up about the house in the first place.
Of course, Sirrah, of course, of course. Just an inquiry, and I put the dagger back in my belt.
You are saying that we must complete this job initially.
I can tell you're rearing to go jump in after the big stuff. I tell you what, you take care of this for me, and I will find some large beasts of the swamp for you to hunt.
This is acceptable.
And you, Tiefling,
His eye twitches again. Of course, Sirrah, more than happy to help. Although I would ask a small favor in return.
what is it?
Would you have happened to have seen a dark-haired woman, scar over the left eye, often seen bandying about in pubs, bars, plays a lute? Anyone fit that description?
He thinks for a second. Can't say that I have. Who is this person of interest to you?
Oh, she's my mother. I'm terribly concerned about her. I've been trying to find her for months.
I see. Well, I wish you the best of luck, and if you're looking for someone who is often found in taverns, I would highly recommend speaking with someone who also spends a great deal amount of time. He says, unfortunately, I don't have that luxury.
I see, busy man that you are. Well, I thank you for your time, Sirrah, and we shall be on our way.
Jokun will stand and turn without saying anything further to the entryway of the building.
Yes, it seems that the two of you have been enlisted for this job together.
I guess we make our way outside, and Lucet will turn to Jokun, and he will sort of look him up and down and be like, "Little, little tall, aren't you?"
What manner of creature are you?
Well, if you must know, I am no tiefling. I am a blue dragon, descendant of Tiamat herself.
You match no description of a dragon I have ever read.
Yes, and you match no description of a clock tower, but what would a mortal know about these things? In any case, I am Lucet Saphna, son of Navin Saphna, son of Roddick Saphna. It's a pleasure to meet you.
It is a pleasure to meet you.
He will kind of reach his hand up and shake yours, and then you see him like almost immediately wipe it on the back of his pants, still giving you sort of a wren smile. Well, I suppose, since it's just the two of us, we should probably head our way over to, what was the name of that tavern? Do you know where that is, my fine gargantuan friend?
We will say that Eliander has given you an idea of where to find the.
What did you say your name was again?
Jokun.
Ah, Jokun. You don't seem like a very humorous fellow, but I suppose not all of our parents can be nobles.
Are you considered funny?
Somewhat, I suppose. It's not something I've really ever thought of.
Have you ever seen a ghost?
I believe my father's court had some dealings with, oh, I believe it was a white at some juncture, but I don't remember the dealing going very well, and I believe it got disintegrated. I myself was not there for that particular encounter, but
I imagine not.
so far as I am aware, they are Not particularly cooperative creatures, but we shall try our best. Won't we now, big man? Come!
Very good. Way towards the empty net. From the tower, you follow the tributary towards the water, and after going on this path for quite some time, after passing your bridge on the left-hand side, you continue a bit further, and eventually you find the empty net. This is a large tavern. Half of the tavern lies on land, and then the other half is on stilts that go out into the water.
A most precarious establishment.
Sort of gaudy to my eyes. Humans always insist on overbuilding everything.
It is quite rickety. It also smells like fish, very strongly of fish. You see all sorts of people around you. If you would like, you could try to observe a little more closely as to what the type of clientele that come here are, or you could just make your way inside.
I don't particularly concern myself. Do you, Jokun?
I am unfamiliar with such an establishment.
It's so good that you're an orc, by the way. No, that tracks, that tracks. Well, I suppose we'll just head on in.
Who is walking in front?
Probably me.
Basically, a mug comes whipping through the air. If you don't move, it will crash into your face.
I will attempt to make a dexterity saving throw. I have a +2. That would be an 8.
Yeah, a mug comes whipping through the air and crashes onto your face, breaking and covering you in ale. You see that one half of the bar is a full on brawl. Who threw it? God's knows. You see that there are gentlemen who would look like bouncers, whatever you would call it, that are kind of monitoring the brawl a little bit, making sure that it doesn't carry out and spill into the whole rest of the bar. You see that in the actual bar, where the bartender is at, that they aren't allowing the fight to reach the bar. There are several seats open.
Excellent. I am going to actually make a charisma saving throw to attempt to maintain my composure. Ooh, just barely made it. Lucet will kind of take a corner of his robe and wipe the ale off of his face, like cleans a little bit of the blood off.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it together, Lucet.
Jokun looks at the blood on Lucet's face and to the brawl that's happening on the other side of the room. You see some light in his eyes for the first time. Is such behavior common?
More common than we'd like out of them, but yes, they do get a little into it occasionally. Every once in a while, we have to remind them to keep it together, but
Before Lucette finishes speaking, Jokun is going to grab a mug, like just the nearest mug that he can grab from the closest table, and he's
Yeah.
going to hurl it as hard as he can into the brawl.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll a throw. A 10. Okay, yeah. I mean, you see that it connects with like somebody's back, who then gets punched, and it just kind of dissolves into the fray.
But there seems to be no attention drawn to myself.
No.
Jokun is then just going to stride directly into the brawl and start shoving.
Joy, he's one of those. Well, I suppose not much can be expected from shitbloods, but what are you going to do? Lucet is going to gabble his way over to the bar after maybe just using like one finger of shocking grasp to like fry the wound on his nose closed. Saunter off up to the bar. He loves stools because he doesn't have to turn them sideways, but he jumps up on one of the stools and he waits for the bartender to address him.
Sure. Go ahead and make a strength for me, Mr. Jokun.
A10. Flat.
Okay, you're doing all right over there. You're trading blows. They're fairly even. Once in a while, somebody will rock you, and a few every now and then you get land in a couple good decent punches. Go ahead and deduct 1 health point from your pool.
My most stimulating experience.
Lucette, as you sit down at the bar, a fellow walks up to you from the other side of the bar, so the bartender, not just a fella. Uh, hello, hello, hello. Kreb Schenker. And I must say, I'm not used to having such esteemed clientele come sit at me.
Oh, my name is Lucet Saphna.
Pleasure to be sure.
A pleasure. Listen, I am looking for a gentleman. We've been set here by the captain of the guard. We're looking for a gentleman by the name of Raga. He's not in any trouble. We just need to speak with him.
Braga, is it? Yeah, he's having a smoke out the back. You can generally find him out there when he ain't asking people for money.
Ah, I see. One of those.
If you want to speak with him, I'd highly recommend bringing him a beverage, as he ain't always looking to talk for nothing.
I see. What is his drink of choice?
Anything that has booze in it,
I see. Have you any liquor?
I do. 1 gold piece will get you.
You know what? I'll save you some trouble. I'll take the bottle.
And let's just say that's like 2 gold pieces.
A pleasure doing business with you, Sirrah.
Throw me a strength save, Mr. Jokun.
An 11.
Mm-hmm. Things have started getting a bit more intense, and the thugs that have been kind of like keeping the line in the bar are starting to become more involved. You take 2 points of damage.
I'm going to look for Lucette.
Oh yeah, you see him accept a bottle and then start walking towards a door in the back.
Jokun will, looking over everyone's heads, he takes like some more punches to the gut, but he doesn't really pay them any mind, and he's going to walk out of the brawl and follow after Lucette.
As you're just about to finish exiting the brawl, one of the thugs takes a chair and he whips it at your face, and you duck just in time to miss the chair completely as it smashes on the back of somebody who is right behind you. Would you like to take this opportunity to attack the fellow who hit you with the chair before you leave?
And he'll stare glassy-eyed and at the figure, and I think that his tusks will begin to flare momentarily. He composes himself. He can sense that no one here is fighting with the intent to kill, and so the momentary novelty of the situation has passed.
Hmm, gotcha. There's not enough actual bloodlust here.
And so he will follow after Lucette.
Very well. Lucette, you make your way into the back. You go down the corridor. You see that, there's doors that line this corridor. A couple times you think about opening them up to see what's inside, and you pause at one door just to hear some god awful noises come from the inside, and you continue walking. Eventually, this opens up to a porch that is hanging over the water. A gentleman who appears to be about 40 years old, smoking a pipe with ale in his hand. There's 2 people around him, and he is telling them some kind of a story or something. They seem quite interested in
I will pause for just maybe like 5 seconds to sort of gauge the gentleman that he's with. Do they seem like they're they're friends? Do they seem like they are acquaintances? Are they just a couple of bar strangers? Are these kind of people that would go to bat for him if something were to happen? Can I make an insight check
Mhm.
on them?
Absolutely.
Keep forgetting I don't actually have insight. That will be an 8.
Well, they look like people and they're human beings and they're sitting together, so who knows? They must be from the same tribe or something.
Yeah, who the fuck knows with mortals? Anyway, I will sort of saddle up to the conversation.
As you saddle up, Jokun arrives right behind you.
I will say, pardon me, Syrah, are you Braga?
He holds up his hands as if to hush like a giant crowd or something. He goes, well, hold on. He says, yes, I am the one who is known as Braga. Who asks for me?
36 ounces of liquor.
Now that's exactly what I've been waiting for.
Oh, well, we just had a couple of questions. Would you mind excusing your friends? It's somewhat of a embarrassing matter.
For 36 ounces, no problem. He looks at the two gentlemen. He says, fellas, I'll have to tell you the rest of the story next time. It appears I have urgent business to attend.
Now, if I clock around us, people per minute, how many like people are around us now? Is it just me, him, and the orc, or is it just?
So you're like on the deck on the back of this building and it's hanging out over the water. There's like two people that are kind of talking with each other that are over on a corner smoking.
In that case, I will use my inside voice, and I will. He has a mug of ale.
Correct.
I say, do you mind mixed drinks?
He says, as long as you mix booze with it.
Well, that it's your lucky day, and I will uncork the bottle and I will pour about a third of it into his mug with his ale.
Yeah. And he just like swills it around and then takes a big gulp, burps, and his cheeks redden a little bit more.
Yes, well,
He goes, I already know why you're here.
oh, is that so?
He goes, people have been talking about me, haven't they?
No doubt because of your storytelling.
He said, it ain't just stories, it's the truth. Says that air mansion is haunted as all hell, and I'm the only one who's been brave enough to go inside.
Really? Do tell. And I will pour um, half of what remains. So I poured a third of it. So I will pour another third of it into his mug. And I will sort of gesture for him to drink.
Yeah, and drink it he does. And he says, well, let me tell you, I was on quite a kicker, and I started to feel like I should find some place to kick off and catch a few Z's. All of the taverns around town have stopped giving me credit for a place to sleep. So I thought to myself, well, there is that old mansion that's empty up there on the hill. And now, people have always said it's haunted, but nobody ever goes up there, so how are they supposed to know? So I think to myself, that might be a pretty good place to go catch a couple winks, he says. So, it was the dead of night. I go up there, I open the door, I walk inside, everything seems peachy keen and well, says I, this place here ain't on it, it's a regular old house. It just smells like old age. However, boy was I wrong. And then he like stops and he starts sipping. He says, you see, the second I took 5 steps into that house, the whole house done come alive. And the next thing I knew, there was wailing and cursing and awful sounds that went out throughout all the air. And then these ghosts, hundreds of ghosts came out from both the upstairs and the downstairs. They come from the stairs and they started in me. And he says, "Oh heck, it was the worst thing I've experienced in my life." He says, and so I I get up and I grab, and he like hiccups, my bottle, and I start bashing him. Yes, I do. But all these ghosts, there's more and more. Oh, they just come at me one after the other. Eventually, I take out of the house running, and there's still the sounds of all hell. You couldn't pay me for that, but you can pay me for my story of the horrible experience I had. And he like holds out a hand.
As he holds out his hand, I will swiftly empty the rest of the liquor bottle on his arm. Once I pour the liquor on his arm, I will grab the hand that has the liquor on it with my right hand, and then I will hold up my left hand,
Yeah.
and I will kind of lean into him, and I'll be, some fairly powerful people have paid us a great sum of money to make sure that you keep your mouth shut. Do we understand each other? And I will cast Shocking Grasp on the hand that isn't touching him, and I will show him that I can create a spark between my fingers. Now, if you'd
Yeah.
like to keep your arm, I would suggest keeping your mouth shut the next couple of months. How does that sound?
His eyes get big and he says, "It ain't a lie. It ain't a lie. They didn't tell you that the alchemist used to live there, did they? He said he was gonna learn how to make gold. He damn cursed the house."
Braga, listen to me. I don't care about any alchemist. We've been paid for you to shut your mouth. Now, if you want to keep your smoking arm, I would suggest you do so, and I will attempt to roll an intimidation check.
Yeah, let's see if you scare him proper.
8.
He's drunk. He's a little worked up, and he says, "You don't believe me? You don't believe me? Go to the house yourself. Go there and tell me what you find. I'm telling you, the house is haunted as can be." And he like stands up and he starts backing away from you guys. And like it's clear that you're starting to make a little bit of attention.
Suit yourself. I will cast Shocking Grasp, and I will ignite his arm.
Okay. Roll for damage on that.
That is a 12 to hit, which I assume hits a peasant.
That hits.
And then for damage, the lightning damage alone is 3, plus whatever the fire does. I will specify I am attempting to do this non-lethally. I'm not trying to kill him. I am trying to hurt him.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you can really choose that with electricity and fire. He screams out, "It's the ghost! They sent me to silence me! It's the ghost! You're working for the ghost!" He screams, and like everybody's paying attention now, and people are starting to pour onto the back deck to see what's going on as his arm lights up and he goes flailing and he falls over the side of the railing and he hits the water with his splash.
Well, what can you do? We should probably clear out of here, eh, tall one?
That would seem prudent. We should leave at once.
Yeah, I will just make my way back through the tavern and leave. If people try to obstruct me, I'll just walk around them, but...
Is there like a street entrance to this?
Oh, like does the porch like wrap around? Yeah, actually, you know what? The porch wraps around and eventually touches the street.
Jokun is just going to push his way rather roughly through the crowd. He'll kind of break up the crowd ahead of Lucet if he wants to follow him that way.
Why not? And I will just sort of follow behind the orc.
Yeah. So, you guys find yourself by the street. There's some people watching you from the tavern. However, the majority of people seem to be like trying to get to the balcony back there and fish him out with like a rope or something, and they're kind of like there to see what the commotion is about.
As Lucet looks back, he sort of remarks, "Huh, drunk as a fish. How ironic." And then he'll just keep walking.
How ironic. Do you believe that this will be a satisfactory conclusion to our employer?
I suspect that he won't be saying much for a while with those kinds of injuries. The pain will be too much, provided he survived it all, but in any case, perhaps we should, just as a matter of good faith, investigate the house. Perhaps I can have a word with the spirits there and convince them to clear out. I have no political experience with spirits, but
And halfling dragons speak to ghosts.
call me a halfling again and you'll be the next one in the river. Anyway, I can speak a number of languages. I suspect that they can communicate in at least one.
His neck is craned over rather unnaturally, looking directly down at the top of your head. Your proportions are that of a halfling. And he's going to put his pax down between his feet, and he's going to pull out his leather-bound journal, and he's going to open up to the drawing of the map of the town he made the day before. He's
Hmm.
going to look up to this the manor on the hill where it is on the map. I admit to being curious myself.
Well, I do suppose that even if he does survive his injuries, he wouldn't have much to talk about if we did take care of the issue. I suppose we should.
As we make our way, are we going to have to cross that bridge to get to the manor?
As a matter of fact, you will.
As we approach the bridge, Jokun is going to stop, and he's going to not draw any attention to the fact that he's stopping, but he's going to begin observing Lucette.
Okay. Very well. Lucette, I believe you've been walking in front. So you're walking and you step on the bridge and you start making your way across.
Okay. I assume that Jokun has stopped to tie his shoe or something. I don't really pay it much mind that he's stopped, unless I get to the other end of the bridge and he hasn't followed me over.
Correct, because it's a very big bridge. So that would be a long distance and it would be very weird.
Does that happen?
You will find Jokun standing there as the crowd kind of goes around him, as traffic travels across the bridge. And he appears to be squinting at you intensely.
Uh,
I will.
Jokun, the same thing that happened last time happens this time.
So if I notice that, then I will walk back across the bridge and be like, "Hello."
You experience no discomfort.
What?
It is nothing. Come along. And he will step out onto the bridge to cross.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Whatever.
Very well. You gentlemen, you make your way through the town alongside the cliffs or ways.
What do my eyes see?
A decrepit house sits on the highest ground in the area. Around it, a stone wall has crumbled in many places, exposing the interior grounds. An ornate metal gate lies open at the end of the road, swaying slightly in the wind. Wildflower grows throughout the yard, but all years cannot hide the evidence of a well-tended garden that was sat here. Near the house, the rotted wooden roof of a water well.
Well, I suppose that people who are traveling together are supposed to get to know each other. Where are you from originally?
I am from the Highlands.
The Highlands to the north.
Correct.
I'm somewhat familiar with the tribes there. What tribe are you from? You might be under my father's employ.
He stares at you glassy-eyed.
Oh, I see. Professional discretion. Yes, of course, of course, of course.
What is your tribe? Perhaps I know them.
I am the Prince of the Azure Council. My father is Navin Saphna, the ancient blue of the north.
Oh, so you said.
Indeed, son of Navin, son of Rudrick.
I have never known a prince.
Oh, well, you know. We're more of a senate, honestly. My father is the chancellor. I guess that makes me a senator's son.
I have never known a senator.
Ah. Well, I suppose your tribal structure is quite, rudimentary, so you would have no need of any.
I am a tribe of one.
Ah. Is that due to some incident? Were you exiled? With your family slaughtered? Ooh, are you on a revenge kick?
He stares at you glassy-eyed. I know nothing of revenge.
Exile then. Well, perhaps through your service with me, I can put in a good word with my father and he can get you accepted back into your tribe.
He continues to walk along.
Well, I suppose you can't expect too much from them, but some decent conversation would be nice.
Will you be going to the swamp?
I suppose if it gets me closer to my goal.
What is your goal?
As we're walking, Lucet stops in front of you, and you kind of have to, like, brake quickly to avoid stepping over him. And he turns around and he looks you dead in your eyes, and he says, I'm going to kill my mother.
Unlike in the tavern, are you radiating a true intent to kill?
Oh, yeah. It's like, you can taste it.
Just as abruptly as you stop to turn and speak to Jokun, he, in one movement, squats down deeply, one hand on the ground in front of him, so suddenly this orc's face is level, completely with your own. He says, Indeed, I can taste it. Why would you kill her?
What's this bowing? This is more like it. He thinks for a moment and he says, I'm sure you've noticed that, and you see like a genuine look, especially with your passive insight. You see a look of genuine distaste flash across his face as he says this. I'm sure you've noticed that formologically, I don't precisely resemble my father.
You are a unique specimen.
Thank you for being polite. You see, my mother, she was a harlot who seduced my father in human form. I am the bastard offspring of dragon and man. I have been made aware of a certain practice, and this stays between you and me, my fine orcish friend. I have been made aware of a certain practice whereby half-breeds, again, that distaste washes over his face, can renounce their mortal half by sacrificing that which made them mortal. And so I seek her out in order to end her life and obtain apodrachanosis.
This is rather convoluted.
It seems simple enough to me. She made me human. So if I unmake her, then I will no longer be human. Pains to say.
He stands back up and he says, I wish you success in your hunt.
And at that, Lucet, like, genuinely perks up a little bit and is like, well, thank you, Jokun. I greatly appreciate that.
And I suppose we have arrived at the manor.
Now, Lucette, some of the drunk said appeals to your draconic spirit. Even though you were shushing him and telling him to speak any further, he said something about how the previous resident of this house, who had been an alchemist, who say had finally found the secret of turning base metals into gold.
I have read of such things.
Yes, there was a wizard that my father kept as a pet that was able to temporarily turn lead into gold, but upon the morrow it reverted to its, original form. Something of a parlor trick. It was cute until he ate him. But I do wonder if perhaps some mortal alchemist has finally unlocked the secrets of converting other metals into gold.
To some, this would be of great value.
To some, although my father's hoard could blot out the sun were you to put it in the sky. So I'm not especially interested, though it would make an interesting birthday gift for my father. You know, his 1600th is coming up, and it's a big one.
Now, there you go. Despite what you say on the outside, draconic spirit screams about adding gold. It doesn't matter how large the hoard is, it can always be more.
Perhaps Lucet licks his lips a little bit. Perhaps we should keep an eye out for any alchemical instruments, any evidence of alchemy. Just to be thorough. Give sort of a mirthless smile towards the orc. Perhaps I should go first. I don't mean to be rude, but my draconic physiology might be more adapted to taking the first hit if things were to go south. And I will walk in front of him so that if things kick off, I'm in front.
And low clouds press down upon you. Little patches of sunlight appear and glisten over the water. Facing back towards the house, you open up the gate.
I would like to take a rest before we continue. We will investigate this area at our leisure.
Sure. Sitting in you see that the garden had been very well organized. You see little signs that say carrot, other things, but just tangles of weed that out of the garden ends. You see there is a single rose bush that is still alive, isn't too far from the gate. That there are large clusters of plants that have made their way up and now are against the wall of the house.
I think that Jokun is going to retrieve his journal from his packs, and
Mhm.
he's going to investigate the garden and just see if there's anything flora that stands out to him.
As a matter of fact, the roses do.
Then he will sit in front of them and he will spend his rest drawing botanical illustrations of the roses in their form.
I don't believe Jokun has ever seen roses before.
He has not.
As he is doing that, I will sort of go behind him and remark, fancy yourself a gardener, do you?
I am an artist.
Oh, an orc artist. Well, I'm a draconic juggler. Oh, you're not kidding. I did not even know that your kind could participate in the finer arts. In any case, I will sort of leave you to your drawing. Actually, the well, during this rest, I don't really need to sit during the rest because I'm at full hit points, but could I perhaps look in the well, drop a stone down the well? I will make an investigation check.
Please do.
That would be a 17 flat.
Yeah, so as as you start walking towards the well, you notice a couple of things. That something appears to have been dragged into the bushes that are close to the house. Kind of following a little bit, you see a burrow that peeks out slightly from underneath. Turning and facing towards the well, you look down it. Looking into the well, you see something glimmering.
Well, that might be worth investigating further, but I'll wait for my friend finish his rest before I endeavor to do anything fancy.
Yeah, and I'll just say enough time has passed. The rest is over, and Dylan can put your points up. And...
Well, in that case, I will, after you finish drawing your little rose or whatever it is you're doing. Oh, Jokun, come here for a moment.
And before he walks over, he's actually going to unbelt his knife. He's going to take a rose from the bush and place it into his journal and close it like a flower pressing. It appears this flower is quite resilient compared to other cultivations in the garden. He will return to Lucette's side.
Might I ask if you were to string that longbow up for me? I'm unsure what's about to happen, but I just can't quite get over my curiosity.
Unquestioningly, he will take the bow from his back and notch an arrow.
That's a good man. So, David, this burrow, if I were to feel around the edges of it, does it feel like dirt?
Yes, it is absolutely dirt. So let's see.
If that's the case, then what I am about to ask you if I can do is to excavate as deep as I can using mold earth to see what's going on with this burrow.
Sure, 1 sec.
Oh, that's dope. I've always thought those spells were cool, but never have had a chance to use them.
But keep your eye on mold earth because it will become very important in about 8 levels.
This is a special surprise that'll help us later. Hee hee.
Exactly.
That's fine. Okay, so the burrow is right about over here. The entrance to the house is right here.
Okay.
So it is a dirt burrow, and as you feel around it, it's all dirt.
Terra del terra! And I will begin excavating 125 cubic feet of dirt.
You get part of that out when you disturb the residents.
Battle music starts.
Yes, exactly. 2 giant poisonous snakes come lurching out. Please roll initiative.
All right. Well, my orcish friend, it's time to see what you can do. For me, that would be a 10. Oh my god.
Not good.
What, isn't a 20 as high as you could roll on initiative?
Yes, but that was David rolling.
Oh. Oh, shit. I didn't see who rolled.
What did you get, Dylan?
A 12. Also, it's Dr. Spectre now.
Dr. Spectre. Actually, it's Jokun. So, Lucet, what is your AC?
Me? 15.
Okay, it definitely hits. So, as you're like,
May I have the opportunity to cast shield?
you do. And that adds how much to your AC?
My armor class is 20 when I have shield up.
Okay. Yeah. So you're focused on the movement of the earth. You're moving your hands, etc., in order to cast the spell. And while the earth is like moving itself out of the way, suddenly out strikes a large poisonous snake. that bites you in the arm. And it hits. Also, roll me a Constitution.
Okay. I have a +5 to con saves.
That's good.
7.
You got a 7?
Yes, I rolled a 2.
Good lord. Well, maybe you'll get
Row.
How much health points do you have?
10.
You're unconscious, bro. This thing freaking lunges out, bites you. You're immediately poisoned, and you take 12 damage. Yeah, you just fall unconscious just like that.
Oh, by the 10 eyes of Tiamat!
Yeah.
Yeah. It now goes
Yeah.
to Dylan.
Dave is still learning how to balance his encounters.
I am not. This is literally what it recommends in the book.
I got one hit KO in my session too, dude.
Yeah, this is pretty typical of D&D
Uh-huh.
modules. They're pretty serious business.
I'm sorry, can you describe this creature once more?
Yes.
Now that I'm having to face it alone.
A large snake that is probably about 7 feet long, and it's about as wide as your arm. It has some strange colors running along its.
So this looks like a completely different species as the anaconda I killed the day before.
Correct. This one has red and yellow and black stripings going all the way down its back.
But I am going to let loose an arrow.
Yes, let's see what you get.
Better late than never. Oh, how compelling. 2, so... I mean, that is a 12. I don't...
So a 12 instead of a 10?
Yeah.
Oh, that hits.
Oh, hey, glad I checked.
Yes.
Of course.
I got you, Dylan. Don't worry.
Give me a high roll, bud. Okay. So that's 5 plus 3 plus 2 because I'm fighting my favorite enemy, a beast.
Explain how the arrow kills it.
The arrow flies through the air just the second after the creature's jaws clamp down on Lucet. At the same moment, the arrow whizzes through the air and just shoots right through its eye, directly through to the other side of its head.
Yeah, and it like lets go of Lucette's arm and falls dead at his feet as he collapses.
He did insist on going first.
You got it, buddy.
If the other snake isn't left the burrow, Jokun is going to remember a lesson from his father. He is going to kneel by Lucette's side, and he's going to make a rather clumsy medicine check to help him.
Okay.
Try and stabilize him. It's an 18.
Yeah. As you walk up to Lucette, you look into the burrow and you see the other snake in there. It is hissing and making noise, but you see that it is pressed up against the back of the wall of the burrow as much as it can. It doesn't seem like it's trying to come out. It it seems to be trying to keep its distance as much as possible. Lucette, you wake up and we're gonna. So go ahead, add 1 HP to your pool, and then wake up.
I live. You have tried to kill me, lesser serpent, and you have not succeeded.
The hunt continues.
Oh, hey, Jokun.
Would you guys care to rest again out there? Or?
Oh, is that snake still in the fucking burrow?
Yes, it is.
I'm lightning luring the shit out of that thing.
Okay.
I need that snake to please make a strength saving throw for me.
It does not succeed.
It will take 4 lightning damage, and I will rip it out of the hole.
Okay. It comes flying out at the hole at you.
You piece of shit! You piece of shit!
If it's not dead, then Jokun is going to loose an arrow as well if he has the chance.
Okay, that's a hit. Yeah, with your added bonuses, it'll be
11.
that'll finish it.
I believe your lightning has damaged the hide of this one.
That is generally the point, yes. Fuck! And I'm like, I like to imagine that to get the poison out, Jokun just wrung his arm like a fucking, like an Indian arm burn, and just like wrung the poison out along with half of the blood in his arm.
I was not gentle.
Fuck! Oh. Well, I owe you a great deal of gratitude for saving my life. One moment, and I'm just going to fucking use my sharp teeth and bite the head off of one of the snakes and spit it out. That's what you get, lesser fucking lizard. Ow!
Yeah, so I imagine you're going to take a rest, and during that time, Jokun is going to attempt to skin this anaconda or this snake.
Make a survival.
And I will roll my hit die.
Excellent.
Damn.
Okay, with my bonuses, that's going to be a 23.
Write fine hide or fine leather skin into your inventory, please.
We should, at the very least, attempt to spend the night in the manor,
Ooh.
because that would because that would be most Kino.
Is it so you guys are talking about walking inside before starting your long rest?
I mean, I can just dig a hole in the dirt and we can sleep out here, but it's up to you.
That is amicable to me. I have little interest in sleeping indoors.
Ah, a man after my own heart. I will finish excavating the burrow. By the way, do I find anything cool in the burrow when I finish excavating it?
Oh yeah. As a matter of fact, you do. You find 15 gold pieces in there.
Yeah, that was worth dying over.
You don't know how they got in there, but they are in there. So
I will kind of finish excavating the burrow to where it's about 5 feet across. I mean, it's mold earth is a cantrip. I can cast it infinite number of times. Finish excavating until there's a hole large enough to accommodate both of us.
sure.
As long as I don't run out of loose dirt. If I hit rock at some point, obviously I can't do anything about that. But as long as I keep hitting dirt, I will just excavate it until it's large enough that we can be inside of it.
Yeah, that's not an issue.
I will take the first watch.
Roll a perception for me, Mr. Jokun.
You feel everything from a ghost. Hundreds of them, in fact.
This is an unfamiliar experience, to say the least.
Yeah, I rolled like a 5.
Yeah, I mean everything seems pretty chill and everything seems good. Your time passes and now it goes.
While he's on his shift, he's actually going to walk back over to the well.
Yeah,
I believe that Lucette said that he saw something glimmering in the depths.
as a matter of fact, you do see something glimmering.
When he sees that Lucette has gone to sleep, Anthony is going to go down into the well, and he's
Hmm.
going to climb down the walls of the well easily and lithely.
Got it. I was a little confused by that. Okay, yeah. So you climb down it, and reaching the bottom, you find that the water is as clear as can be, and it looks incredibly clean. You have not tasted the water, but you assume that it would be very crisp and delicious.
If the water smells clean, then he will slip lithely under the water and he'll dive for the bottom.
Yeah, you don't even need to dive. It only appears to be about 3 feet deep, and lying on the bottom of the well, you see another 20 gold pieces.
20 gold.
Yep.
When he emerges, it will be as Jokun, and he will exit the well as such.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Is there anything else you would like to do during your quote-unquote watch?
He's gonna approach the doorway. Like, are there windows on the ground floor that are like here in the courtyard?
That's a good question. Yes, there are.
He's going to look in through the windows to see if he can see anything in the darkness, any signs of movement at all.
Okay, I need you to pick up your character and place him roughly where he's going to be looking.
Dylan, do not fuck our long rest.
Upon hearing the snores of Lucette, I think he thinks better of it, and hunkers down and waits for the moon to rise high enough, and then he will awaken his companion.
Sure. Yeah, it's now about 7 o'clock in the evening or so. You guys got there fairly early in the day, and it is now time. Now, I will give you the option. You're pretty much fine on health. If you want, you guys could head into the house without tarrying any further, or you could continue the long rest, which would end in around 10 o'clock or so, which would be true nighttime. Okay, so yeah, so then it's roughly about 8 o'clock, and it has become nighttime. And Lucette, you can go ahead and refill your stuff.
You don't have to tell me twice. All right, there we go.
The moon begins to raise over the night sky, and it illuminates the white paint on the outside of the house.
Say, Jokun, do you ever think about how weird it is that we can be like nearly dead and then just sleep for 6 hours and then suddenly we're all better?
I have never given it much thought myself.
Honestly, me neither. Anyway, let's take a look at this mansion, shall we?
All right. Gentlemen, you find yourself standing at the steps in front of the house.
Well, do you suppose we should knock, or?
Jokun will begin taking a moment to clean his boots, clean the blood and the scales from skinning the snake off of his hands. We are about to become guests.
Yes, of course. How could I forget my manners? And I take some time and I wash the grime off of my boots and kind of dust the dirt off of my tunic.
I am ready.
Very well. Gentlemen, you step inside. Going from the top and clockwise, you see a door here, a door here, and a door here. Going up, you see a staircase that leads up towards a balcony right here. The home's interior is dilapidated and damp, with patches of harmless mold everywhere. The woodwork is generally rotten, with cobwebs and dust hanging around the place. Rubbish is scattered everywhere. Plaster has fallen from the walls and the ceiling, and it is strewn across the floor, along with the shattered remains of vandalized. The front door opens into a musty, dirty entrance hall. To your left, a corridor leads into the west wing of the house. The walls are bare and bits of smashed furniture lie upon the floor. Ahead of you, another corridor leads towards the rear of the house. A staircase on the eastern wall climbs to the next story, reaching it at a balcony that overlooks the entrance hall along its north and west sides. The stairs appear safe to climb, although the balcony rail is broken in several places. Under the stairs at the north end of the hall, a third corridor leads east.
I believe the man said the trouble began after 5 steps, and Jokun will quickly take 5 steps forward, directly towards the other side of the room, to the doorway directly in front of them.
Any ghost happening?
Not as of yet.
Well, that's quite nice of them.
I'd like both of you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh god, here it comes.
After just a few steps in, the entire house reverberates with an awful scream.
That is a 9 for me.
That's gonna be a 25 from me, dog. Sorry, a 24. Sorry, 22 from me, dog.
So there's an awful scream and a large booming voice echoes, "Welcome to your death." Lucette, you will be having to roll at disadvantage from now on, as you are shooken to your core by the awful sound.
I must admit, a little nervous.
This is a scare tactic. And Jokun is going to sling his bow back over his back, and he will pull violently at the dagger in his belt, and he's going to walk through the doorway in front of him.
In front of him? Okay. In front of you.
I'm going to scamper to keep up with Jokun. Do I get to repeat the save at any juncture, or am I just screwed for the next however long?
You are screwed for 1 hour.
Okay.
And you can feel that in your bones, that you'll be feeling better in approximately 60 minutes.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's going to take a little bit of time.
It's going to take approximately that long for the urine to dry in your pants.
Mm. Well, draconic urine,
Okay.
it's mainly bismuth based, so it dries a little quicker.
So, yeah, you see a little hallway that goes before you. The hallway, you see stairs that go down, as well as 3 doors. Each of them seems to lead to their own little room that makes up this back wing of the house.
Jokun will kick open the door to his right.
2 stuffed armchairs stand near the fireplace of this room. The covers of both have been torn and the stuffing has been pulled out, but the wooden frames are intact. A broken table lies on the floor near them.
I'll just go ahead and keep a lookout.
Roll a perception check for me.
It appears someone has already hunted this room. A soft 20.
You see a stone that looks out of place in the fireplace. You figure you would be able to wiggle it out. You see down in the fireplace, there seems to be a dark area near the back, and you see the bones of some mice laying in there.
Jokun is going to investigate the stone that is out of place.
Okay. Yeah, you wiggle it loose, and inside you find 2 pouches of alchemical powder and a little box that contains 30 gold pieces.
Lucette, I have found some peculiar ingredients.
You look back at Lucette, and Lucette is just like, five-headed matron, Lady Tiamat, please preserve me. What? Oh, yes. Let me take a look. He's just like he has his hands clasped in prayer to Tiamat.
Yeah, I mean, after studying it for a little bit, you smell it. There's various herbs in there, as well as a very light hint of gunpowder or something. You're not quite sure what it is.
I'm afraid my knowledge lies in the political sphere, not so much the.
And he's going to step back out into the hallway, and just whatever the next door he can open on the right side, he will.
Sure. As you're opening the door on the right hand side, something that sounds like creaking, like there is some weight from somewhere upstairs. As you open the room, a scullery.
Is it?
I believe
Is it?
it's like a maid's chamber, like cleaning supplies.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna
This
say.
room displays the effects of damp and decay more than most. Mold grows in patches on the floor, walls, and ceiling. A large copper cask split, discolored and empty, stands under the window with a small heap of crockery shards on the floor beside.
This is a most frustrating hunt. My prey is elusive.
Roll a investigation for me.
That's a 14
And
from me.
you find the cellar door, and propping it open, you find stairs that lead down.
Jokun is going to roar down into the basement.
Wait for me!
Is there any reply?
As you roar into the basement, hideous screams reply back at you.
I sense no predator, only fear.
Are you talking about me or the thing in the basement?
You.
Listen, man, dragons don't particularly like dying. We live a long time, alright?
This place is full of fear also.
So you were talking about the thing in the basement.
You also reek of fear.
Your knowledge of syntax leaves a lot to be desired. Let's just go in the basement already. I will whisper Ignita, and I will cast light on my father's ring.
Very well. Shoulder-height wooden bottle racks line the north and the west walls. There appears to be no intact bottles left in the racks, and shattered bottles cover the floor.
Jokun is going to investigate these shelves and their containers.
We got a one-track mind. Here to kill some ghosts.
Jokun is being impatient because this is not his idea of a good time. He is on the hunt and he has no sight of prey nor predator, and this frustrates him.
Lucette is scared.
Okay, well, in another 30 minutes, maybe you'll feel better. Roll an investigation on the room, you guys. The Fearless Dragon. Oh, Lord. You go looking through and you see that actually not all of the bottles are broken. You find one that has a label bearing the image of a jauntily dressed unicorn. Holding it up, you see that the cork looks to be in good order, and this bottle, the last time people would have put in this bottle was at the very earliest, 20 years ago. And if the cork is good, then this wine may be worth something.
Maybe we could go light another homeless man on fire.
And there's something else in the room. A dead body lying in the middle of the room. It is a heavily armored fellow. He seems to be wearing plate. However, you don't see any evidence of his weapons or a shield, and the person died trying to reach towards the stairs.
Is there any other way down into the cellar that we can see other than the way we came?
Not from the room that you're in.
I will pick up a shard of glass from the ground, recast light on it, and then I will throw that shard of glass into the center of the room so that the entire room is illuminated evenly.
Okay.
Igniti.
So you walk over to the bottom, and you go to start looking. As you touch it, it seems to set off a precarious balance that the body had had, and it leans suddenly to one side. As it does, the joints in the armor come a bit further open, and out pour these disgusting maggot-looking creatures that are each about 8 inches long, and they start making their way towards you. Gentlemen, I need you all to roll initiative.
Wah, wah.
21.
21. Okay. So these maggot-like creatures come up out of the armor, and they inhabit the same space as you. You, however, have the first round. So please, what would you like to do?
Are these slugs right on me?
Yes, they are.
Okay, then I'm going to pull my dagger. I'm going to stab and stomp down on one of the slugs in front of me.
Absolutely. And they do count as beasts. That is definitely a hit.
7 damage.
So they kind of come pouring out of the armor. It's just like tons and tons and tons of these little things. So you stab down into the swarm of them as they kind of start appearing around your feet, and you're stomping on them, and you're squishing and popping tons of them. Now goes to, what is your AC?
14.
So one of them hits you, and it is going to be for 2 damage. And now it is Lucette's turn.
Okay. Are we going to use flanking rules?
Yes.
Okay, then I will flank this swarm over here with Mr. Jokun, and I will attempt to shocking grasp the creature at advantage.
Okay, please do.
And it probably doesn't have lightning resistance, but even if it did, it doesn't matter with me. 7 to hit on my high roll.
That hits.
Oh, right, because they're swarms. Yeah. All right. Badass. That's awesome. I will roll my D8 lightning damage for a total of 2.
As your hand goes into them and starts shocking them, they start popping left and right. And you surmise that electricity is not just say these things' favorite, as one of the rock grub swarms is now fully dead.
Oh, you've done it now.
It's their little disgusting bodies have popped and are, little blood trails over the place.
Hell yeah. Okay, and then I will use the rest of my movement. So I moved to get behind Jokun.
Very well. Jokun, it is your turn again.
I will crush these creatures. If the dice say so, anyway.
The dice say so. Oh,
6 damage.
well, that's not bad. Once again, you just start stomping and slashing at these things, and their little bodies pop and burst like little blood water balloons. Hop and squirm and try to get on your legs so that they can start biting you, but they're not quite fast enough. It is now Lucette's turn.
Okay, I will move so that I am in flanking with Jokun again, and then I am going to roll Shocking Grasp at advantage. 14.
Very well, that hits.
Cool. That will be 4 lightning damage.
Uh-huh. Go ahead and explain how you kill them with your lightning.
I assume that they conduct electricity very well, so I will just plunge my hand onto the floor, activate the Shocking Grasp, and the current will just run through all of them at once, and they will all just fry.
Yes. Tiny little screams of 1,000 little worms.
Ah, music to my ears.
You gentlemen find yourselves in an empty room, a corpse laying in front of you, with what you can see is an explorer's pack that was lying underneath it. And underneath him is a long sword, as well as the plate mail that he was wearing.
Well, I have no use for such things.
Still, our quarry is unfound. They are capable of little else but scare tactics.
You have the gift of soliloquy, my friend.
I am an artist.
I have cause to believe it.
Jokun will go over and kick open the other door down here in the cellar.
Okay. Yeah. As you slam open this door, you find yourself in what would be the proper cellar. You assume that this is where the other pair of stairs down would take you. Looking back, you notice that the door you just kicked open would have been a hidden door if you had looked at it from the other side. The torchlit chamber was once a large cellar, but it has since been converted into living quarters. 10 crude beds stand along the south wall, each with a wooden locker at its foot. A long wooden trestle table ringed by rickety stools dominates the center of the room. Metal cutlery, cups, and dirty plates sit atop the table. A cook stove is installed near the table, and evidence of recently cooked meals sits in pots atop it. A large ham hangs from a loop of twine near the stove. A sturdy set of stairs leads to a trapdoor in the ceiling above. There are 2 wooden doors in the east side of the. I would like the 2 of you to roll an investigation, please.
Investigation. That would be a flat 7 for me.
Another door is right here that is secret.
Ooh.
He is starting to become visibly excited as he approaches the door. We are close now. Our true quarry is at hand.
Oh, good. I can't wait for this to be over with.
Yes. Now, do you have no interest in checking out the other 2 rooms?
I don't at the moment. I'm just sort of following the crazy orc Andy Warhol over here.
Keep watch of those rooms. Jokun is going to press open the secret door.
Very well. As you press open the secret door, what you find
It's another haunted mansion.
a long corridor that leads down on rock stairs into darkness.
I'd like to
Igniti.
roll a perception of a scent of smell, if I can smell anything coming up from the darkness.
While he's doing that, I will recast light on my ring.
That's a 14.
Sniff, and the air smells cool, and you catch the smallest bit of salt coming up from there. You surmise that at some point, the cliff top that this house is upon, that this may lead down all the way.
He's going to go over to look at all of the bunks and
Yeah.
see how lived in the bunks are. Does this whole room see regular use?
Looking at them, you see that most of the bunks are not made, as it would indicate that probably they were even slept in just this morning.
An enterprise.
Oh, like one of those underground drug cartels that humans always seem to participate in.
By the way, Lucette, your disadvantage is over.
The prayer to Tiamat worked! Well, by the black head of Tiamat, what are we going to do down here then? Should we take care of it for the city? Maybe they'll handsomely reward us.
Perhaps there will be a good hunt at the bottom of these stairs.
While you're smelling and looking into the cavern, you hear a bump coming from somewhere over.
Hey.
You're not sure where exactly it came from. Door on your left looks nicer than what you've seen previously. Actually, this door looks brand new. It looks like it was made from high quality wood. This door here that Lucett's standing next to, you see it should open inwards into this room, but you see that 2 wooden bars have been put in front of it. Kind of like a wooden bar that you drop down into 2 iron angles that stick out in order to board a door.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, it would keep whatever is on the other side from pushing this door open this way. So you could remove the boards if you like.
Jokun is going to attempt to open the fine door.
Sounds like a plan, Hoss. I say Hoss now. I feel like that's an orc thing. Is that an orc thing?
I would not know.
I feel like you would, but anyway.
And he opens the door.
The door opens readily. Unlike the barracks, this small room holds comfortable furnishings and appears to be well cared for. A comfortable-looking bed in the northwest corner has a wooden locker at its foot. A small wooden table stands against the east wall with a padded leather chair beside it. On the table, a brass three-branch candlestick with 3 burning candles provides room in the light. The candles, though not fresh, are far from being spent. Under the table is a small wooden box and an unlit bullseye lantern with a movable shutter over the lens. On a shelf above the table sits 3 books.
Well, I suppose I'll go take a look at the books.
Yeah, the first one seems to be full of erotic poetry with illustrations in it. The second one is a naval almanac listing tide times for the area nearby. And then the third one seems to be somewhat of a journal. Inside it are common tongue phrases and their equivalent in Goblin. Some seem to say stop, fight, lift, come. So basic instruction words that have their translations in common, as well as flipping a little bit further, you see words that have dots following them in lines. You see safe, and you see dot dot long line dot long line, and then you see not safe dot 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 long line, and then you see next week, and you see another series of dots and lines. Well, I don't know. I mean, you're free to think of it what you will.
He'll pass the journal to Jokun, and then he will. I think he's gonna take a closer look at the Tide book.
Absolutely. So you've noticed that the Tide book has little pages that have been saved, and you notice that it runs monthly, and that it's specifically below where the house sits at the water.
Seems like some sort of smuggling operation. What do you think, Jokun?
I would think I would like to know the sound a goblin makes when it dies.
Well, I could tell you that one, but it sounds like you want to find out for yourself. Why don't we keep looking?
Jokun is going to roll a further investigation in that room to see if
Sure.
there's anything other than just those first books that are readily apparent.
Yeah.
A 6.
Yeah, you look around more and you don't really find much, but you do find that the small wooden box holds 12 candles, flint and steel, another piece of paper that seems to have the same dots and lines with short words next to them in it. And it's right next to the bullseye lantern that has the shutter that opens and shuts.
Can I make just a standard intelligence check?
Sure.
I'll let you
I think you
decide,
can
but
put it together.
yeah, Lucet picks up the bullseye lantern, and he flashes dot 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 dash dot 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 dash on the wall.
Yeah, it all comes together. They're using the bullseye lantern as a signal somehow to maybe people on the land or people out in the boat or something like that. They're using the lantern as a signal of when to do things and when not to do things.
Clever little mongrels. I will take the bullseye lantern. Might come in handy later.
Very good. Do you decide to check out the other room?
Yes.
The bars securing the door are easily lifted. Light spilling in from the large room behind you barely shows that the chamber is only about 12 feet across and that the corners are filled with shadow. What little you can see is dingy and dirty. Looking in, you see there are 4 skeletons that are halfway covered in dirt, lying in the ground in the middle of the room.
Jokun will investigate the bodies and see if he can determine their cause of death.
I will enter, but I will stay near the wall as I walk in.
Yeah. As you get closer to the bodies to investigate them, the 4 of them reach up, put their hands on the level ground, and pull their bodies up out of their heads shaking. One of them starts clattering its mouth as if it's trying to speak.